Imagine, one day you wake up, you're no longer the beautiful woman that you once were, but you were an old grandma. That's exactly what happens to the main character Sophie in Howl's Moving Castle, directed by Hayao Miyazaki. This is one of my favorite Miyazaki movies. It's fun, it's magical, and the characters have a lot of depth to them. One interesting theme, and very important in this movie, is the theme of change. Change and metamorphosis, as we learned in class, is pretty important in robot animes. We can think of characters such as Sailor Moon and the Power Rangers that change physically. In this movie, we're going to see a lot of the characters changing physically. It's not exactly a robot movie, but there are some robot elements to it. For example, Howl's Moving Castle in the background looks a little bit like a robot. It's a house that walks on 4 legs, but it also looks very steampunk-ish. The setting of this movie takes place in a world of royalty, witches, wizards, spirits, steampunk, and a little bit historical too. This movie features an odd family unit with interesting characters that you might not see in your everyday life altogether. So they all hang out in Howl's Moving Castle as somewhat of a home. This is Turniphead the Scarecrow, here's Howl the Wizard, Sophie, Calcifer the Fire Demon, who also happens to cook egg and bacon on the side, and this is the Wicked Witch of the Waste. The portrayal of these characters is interesting. They all change throughout the movie, physically, and that physical change represents what they go through emotionally and mentally, and in terms of the narrative of the movie. Our main character is Sophie. In the beginning, she's portrayed as this young lady. She gets cursed by the Wicked Witch of the Waste and turns into this old lady. So we see her portrayed like this throughout most of the film. This is quite interesting because I don't normally see old people as main characters, and I think this might have something to do with Japanese culture. In Japan, they do respect their elderly, so it's definitely interesting to see a character from this point of view. Throughout the movie, she becomes very well-spoken, she speaks her mind, she becomes a stronger character as this old lady, and then at the end of the movie, when she's gone through all of her change, she actually maintains her silver hair, just to show that the change she went through was for the better. The other main character in the movie is Howl. Howl is a wizard with many powers. He can transform into a raven, and he once dated the Wicked Witch of the Waste, so I'm guessing he might be a little bit older than he looks. In the movie, he's portrayed with black hair, blue hair, as a raven, and red hair. He's not a huge fan of his red hair, and actually has to dye his hair this color. One day, Sophie gets rid of his dyes in the bathroom, and he comes out, he's furious. He literally turns into a pile of goo and starts expelling all these black evil spirits all over the world, all over the walls, which really emphasize his vainness and his inability to love himself. But near the end of the movie, Sophie and Howl fall in love, and we also see transformation in their relationship. I think the theme of change and metamorphosis is very important in this movie. Not only do the two main characters change, but also the house changes. The house is a metaphor of the heart. So when more people join their little family unit, the house actually grows bigger to fit them in. The other characters that have metamorphosis along the way are Turniphead. He starts out as this little scarecrow, and by the end he turns into a prince. The Wicked Witch of the Waste is very glamorous, large in the beginning. Once all of her powers are stripped away, she turns into this little blob. And one of my favorite characters, Calcifer, who I have this sweater. That's little Calcifer, and he's a fire demon who stole Howl's heart. He kind of thinks that he's nothing without the heart, but by the end of it, he gives Howl's heart back and realizes that he's just the same. He doesn't die when he gives the heart back. But Calcifer goes from this to a shooting star in the sky. To conclude, I talked about how change and metamorphosis is important in Howl's Moving Castle. Not only do the characters go through change, but the story and the narrative is enriched with immense change, and you just need to watch the movie to find out more. Thanks for listening.